Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, 1 year forward, 2 years back. That's how many are feeling as NU starts out the school year in a modified quarantine amid an Omicron surge. We have the details on COVID-19 on campus.
Plus, NNN goes one-on-one with the new interim Evanston Police Chief to ask about the status of the department's use of force recommendation.
And staying well during Wildcat Wellness. If you're stuck in your dorm rooms like us, we've got tips for how to treat your body and your mind. Hello and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Gabrielle Coriati.
And I'm Elizabeth Betts. Gabrielle, we're obviously doing things a little different this week, doing our part by staying virtual during Wildcat Wellness, but we've still got a lot of news to cover.
That's right, so let's get started with tonight's stories. Our first story of the night, a look at COVID-19 on campus. This afternoon, administrators hosting a virtual Q&A for the Northwestern community. Vice President of Student Affairs, Julie Payne-Kirschmeyer, said 88% of undergraduates are back on campus. And Director of Operations, Luke Fagora, said NU is still ready for a return to the classroom 1 week from today.
Given the protocols that we have in place and the relative safety of our environment here on campus, we're ready to resume in-person classes and activities on January 18th.
But before we return to the classroom, a huge case count last week. I took a look at Northwestern's COVID numbers and how the university is responding. Last week, 909 positive cases at Northwestern. But in an email to students Friday, Vice President of Operations Luke Fagora says, quote, approximately 50% of the positive cases were either reported from at-home tests or from outside testing sites, and many of these individuals have not yet come to campus. Students encouraged to test before traveling to campus, but required to test on arrival, the university leaving take-home tests in every dorm room.
They have the Binax tests waiting on the desk, so I took one and I tested positive.
A positive result while living on campus means moving into quarantine and isolation housing.
When you submit your positive test, it takes like a couple hours for them to contact you, which feels risky to me.
For students quarantining in doubles here in Hinman Hall, in an email Thursday being informed to expect a quarantine roommate.
I have to share this space with some person, like I'm sure they're fine, but I don't want to do that. Like, I got classes, I've got meetings to deal with. Like, I just want to lay in here and get better.
The email sent by the university to students in double occupancy rooms in isolation, requesting that if given a roommate, students remain masked except when eating, drinking, and sleeping.
Why could I take it off to sleep? Does COVID fall asleep after 10 o'clock at night?
In an email to NNN explaining the policy, university spokesperson John Yates says, quote, beds in isolation housing are appropriately spaced, and our medical experts have told us it is low risk for individuals to unmask while asleep at that distance from each other.
There's nothing in there that was like treating me as a person kind of thing. Whereas like, anticipate this, make sure your room is tidy and welcoming of someone else. There was nothing in there like, oh, realize there's an inconvenience, sorry.
Volk received an isolation roommate Monday night and says he was given no notice that he would be given a roommate that day. Northwestern allows asymptomatic students to leave quarantine after 5 days, but only if they receive a negative test. While the CDC does not require a test like Northwestern, the agency says policies of taking an antigen test on day 5 are the best approach for those with access. All students are expected to take a second COVID test this week, as students and the university keep an eye on the numbers.
For many students, this transition back to online learning has felt like deja vu. Lily Wolfson has more.
When students opened an email last month announcing winter quarter would start with Wildcat Wellness,
it's kind of like you're just like hitting a reset button.
Medill sophomore Bria Losick was skeptical.
People saying like, oh, it's only for 2 weeks. And like, of course, everyone knows that we heard that so many times before.
Students notice this Wildcat Wellness has fewer restrictions than last year's. They say they're happy to spend more time outside their rooms, but they also say staying in has its perks.
It's kind of a good way, I guess, for me to stay focused and keep focused on some internship stuff, which is good.
Weinberg sophomore Andrew Corman is a transfer who also spent last year learning virtually. He anticipates staying online for longer than 2 weeks.
And it just seems like there isn't really a clear way for us to get back in person based on what they said. It definitely seems similar to what we heard last year.
CESP sophomore Wendy Klunk is grateful to be able to see her friends, but wants to resume in-person learning as soon as possible.
I can still see my friends in the dorm, just masked and stuff. I just want to get through these 2 weeks and hopefully get back in person.
NU students eager to trade Zoom for the classroom. Lily Wolfson, Northwestern News Network.
As students tried returning to campus, the Omicron variant and winter weather caused increased flight cancellations nationwide. NNN's Logan Schijano has more on how Wildcats had to change their travel plans.
I was driving to the Tampa airport and then just got an email that it had been canceled.
Weinberg freshman Lucas Cortez was not alone in having his flight plans hit by a bit of turbulence last week. Bad weather and the raging Omicron variant made landing a trip back to campus a challenge for many Northwestern students.
I went to pick my flight and they gave me a ton of options from the 2nd to the 7th, which is perfect because we had to be here by the 7th anyway. But then I'm looking through the times and all of them are during my classes. And the only one that doesn't directly happen during a class was yesterday on the 5th. And the 5th is my sister's birthday.
A midday flight from Kansas City meant Kufor was forced to attend her classes from the road.
Wanted to make a good first impression, which is hard when I'm schlepping my bags into my trunk on the Zoom.
Most students arrive at Chicago O'Hare, where 285 flights were canceled over the weekend alone, according to FlightAware. For some students, traveling during the Omicron surge added extra concern.
I was definitely a little more nervous than I usually am, but I wore a mask that was more protective than my usual cloth mask that I wear.
We did hear from university spokesperson John Yates, who said, quote, "Students facing unexpected delays should contact the university testing team and explain their situation. They are still required to test prior to returning to a classroom." From O'Hare International Airport, Logan Schijano, Northwestern News Network.
Here on campus, Greek life organizations are gearing up for recruitment this quarter, but NNN's Bridget Adouwadier reports it's going differently than planned.
Winter quarter is the busiest time for Greek life organizations. Recruitment is in full swing. However, due to Wildcat Wellness, Greek life is shifting from in-person recruitment back to virtual.
And now we're thinking, okay, how do we do this?
Sterling Ortiz, former 2021 president of the Multicultural Greek Council, says the adjustment is challenging. His fraternity, Omega Delta Phi, a multicultural Latino-founded organization, had to change recruitment plans finalized in December.
What can we do that is both safe and engaging for the chapter?
Hannah Song, director of recruitment for Delta Sigma Pi, a co-ed business fraternity, says virtual info sessions just aren't the same.
It is frustrating because you can't have the same experience as you would in person in getting to know someone.
Lachlan Stevens, McCormick first year, says he has been looking forward to rushing since 9th grade.
Even though I am kind of disappointed it's online, it's still rushed, which I'm excited for.
This recruitment season, following protests fall quarter after alleged druggings occurred at 2 fraternity houses. Though they're in a different Greek life council, Sung and Ortiz say the incidents prompt them to be more accountable within their organizations.
How can we improve based on other people's examples?
Rushing not quite as planned, yet still a rite of passage. Bridget Adouwadier, Northwestern News Network.
NNN reached out to Keith Garcia, director of fraternity and sorority life, but did not receive a response for this story. The Interfraternity Council and the Pan-Hellenic Association also did not respond to requests for an interview.
Turning now to off-campus, Chicago public school students set to return to classrooms tomorrow, following negotiations between CPS and the Chicago Teachers Union, due to COVID-19 concerns. The CTU hosted a car caravan to City Hall on Monday after Mayor Lori Lightfoot rejected the union's proposal to return to remote learning. The CTU demanded remote learning this week due to an uptick in COVID-19 cases. The CTU also wanting to institute a district-wide testing policy and metric for assessing the status of in-person learning. CPS schools have been closed since last Wednesday, following the CTU's refusal to work in person. Lightfoot criticized their demands and said CPS is safe for students and staff.
We've got to get the teachers union to get real and get serious about getting back into in-person learning.
Other districts, including Evanston and Skokie District 65, have temporarily practiced remote learning this month, but returned to the classroom today.
Yesterday was the first day for the city of Evanston requiring proof of vaccination for customers 5 years and older in indoor restaurants, bars, entertainment venues, and fitness facilities. The order comes following the latest COVID-19 surge across the country and the appearance of the Omicron variant. Businesses that fall under the order will be required to display signage notifying customers about the requirement and check photo ID for those over 16. The city's mask mandate continues to be in effect.
And Andrew Rowan took a look at ways the city says you can prove you're vaccinated to local businesses.
If you want to eat inside a restaurant, attend a game at Welsh Ryan, or work out anywhere in Evanston, you'll need to show proof of vaccination.
In order for us to implement strategies and protocols, we follow science, data, matrix to make informed decisions, and the vaccine verification order is one of those decisions.
If you don't want to carry around your actual vaccine card, there are some other ways to prove you're vaccinated.
What I recommend is for you to have easy access to your vaccination card is taking a photo of it.
Evanston officials say 4 proofs of vaccination will be accepted: your vaccine card, an official immunization record, an app showing a digital vaccine record, or a photo of your card. If you have an iPhone and you want to use Siri to quickly pull up that photo of your vaccine card, just scan this QR code. It'll make you download the Shortcuts app and go through a few steps. But then after that, you can say, "Hey Siri, show me my vaccine card." And you're good to go. The Illinois Public Health Department offers this website called VaxVerify, which lets you get a digital version of your COVID-19 vaccine card using immunization records. The only problem is if you were vaccinated for any of your doses out of state, it won't appear on that digital vaccine card and there's no way to add it. So there's a lot of different ways to show this. It's all about finding the one that's best for you. Andrew Rowan, Northwestern News Network.
After the break, NU keeps the holiday spirit going with a shiny new gift for Evanston's fire department.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout,
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
Oh, look, a redhead.
Staring contest.
You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute. You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Northwestern students receiving a summer undergraduate research grant this year will now receive $4,000, up from $3,500, according to the Office of Undergraduate Research. Peter Savetta, director of the office, says the increased funding will continue to help students create their own projects. All NU undergraduates are eligible for the grant, which offers a living expense stipend for an 8-week project over the summer. Projects can be in any academic field, including the sciences, but Savetta says research can benefit everyone.
For people like in Medill to help build their portfolio, or people to write screenplays, make jazz albums. Like, everyone can kind of benefit within their world. It's all about bringing whatever ideas or interests you have to us, and then we'll help you learn how to develop that.
Savetta encourages any student interested in applying to make an advising appointment through the office's website.
In the search for a new Evanston city manager, candidates Daniel Ramos and Michael Jasso answered questions from Evanston residents at a virtual town hall meeting on Sunday. Ramos emphasized his efforts fighting tax inequities, increasing police oversight, and handling finances in Baltimore, while Jasso addressed his knowledge of the Chicago area and experience working with diverse communities in Washington, D.C. and Sacramento. The City Council plans to announce the new city manager by the end of the month.
Concerns over police violence linger nationwide more than a year after the death of George Floyd by a police officer sparked national protests. NNN's Hannah Jiang investigates how Evanston Police Department has been reckoning with its use of force and speaks with the EPD's new interim police chief, Richard Eddington, who's facing criticism from minority Evanstonians.
Hundreds protesting down Sheridan Road demanded defunding the police after the killing of 20-year-old Dante Wright. That was April 2021. Protest organizer Evanston Fight for Black Lives, who did not respond to NNN's interview request, paused their defunding work in September. They said, quote, "It is frustrating that we haven't been seeing as much community engagement in our work and events this summer." Former Police Chief Demetrius Cook in 2020 asked Northwestern Neighborhood and Network Initiative, or N3, that examines public safety, to draft a policy review of EPD's use of force. The review made 9 recommendations, including requiring use of force as a last resort.
We delivered the report, we presented it to City Council, and as far as I know, nothing's been done with it. So we never heard back from Chief Cook.
EPD hasn't had a permanent chief since Cook retired last June. The new interim chief, Richard Eddington, says EPD has a culture of being responsible about use of force. He served as chief from 2007 to 2018.
Many of the things that we do about use of force were done when I was here. They were enhanced by Chief Cook, and we will continue to maintain those enhancements.
EPD in 2021 reported 1 fatal use of force and 1 inappropriate use of force, while 35% of uses are still under review.
The correct number of inappropriate use of force cases should be 0, right? So anything that's not 0 is too many.
Chief Eddington says he's talking to research teams like N3 and Chicago's crime lab to further review use of force.
Contact with those individuals is critical, and even the groups that want to defund the police come to a mutual understanding.
Communities shattered by violence in the past say they're looking for imminent changes.
I want to wait for video footage to make us to reconsider it.
Hannah joins us live. You've spoken to an Evanstonian who's concerned about Chief Eddington's return. Could you tell us a little more?
Yes, Elizabeth. A local organization that reviews Evanston's police misconduct has been protesting Chief Eddington's rehire. They said during his last term of office, minority Evanstonians faced police abuses and rarely had their concerns addressed. One minority called it, quote, "a slap in the face."
And you mentioned in the story, Chief Eddington is only expected to serve for 6 months or less. What's going on with finding a permanent chief?
Chief Eddington told me that this decision will hinge on the upcoming election of the city manager, who is likely to pick a police chief in line with what they want to achieve. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Hannah. Gabrielle?
Thanks, Elizabeth. Northwestern's color may be purple, but the school is sponsoring something very red. NNN's Liam Bates has more.
The plan is to replace a rig that's 28 years old right now.
Interim City Manager Kelly Gandersky helped negotiate the deals of an $800,000 donation from Northwestern to fund the purchase of a new fire engine.
It's just an amazing reflection of this partnership.
The new truck is a 2022 Pierce Enforcer pumper truck, boasting robust safety and communication features, including a 500-gallon tank of water. This allows firefighters to immediately begin their work instead of waiting to connect to the nearest hydrant.
We felt this was a great investment that not only met the immediate needs of the city and the city's fire department, but also would serve the people of Evanston for years to come.
This isn't the first donation of a fire truck. In 2009, Northwestern donated $500,000 for a Big Red.
They're one of the best fire departments in the nation.
Evanston's fire department recently received an insurance service office score of 1. The best score possible.
That also helps Northwestern, not only in terms of ensuring that we really provide top-notch service, but also in terms of their own fire insurance.
First Ward Alderman Claire Kelly adds she hopes one day Northwestern and Evanston will be able to
determine some kind of a regular commitment going forward, so it won't have to be sort of the annual negotiations.
A Big Red truck, symbolic of a growing relationship. Liam Bates, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Liam. Interim City Manager Gandersky notes that it takes about 12 months for a fire truck to be delivered, so Evanston residents can expect to see the shiny red engine in January 2023.
What was once a 24-hour stop for a burger and fries may turn into a 10-story office tower. A real estate development company looks to take the place of Evanston's former Burger King and a neighboring apartment complex, transforming them into science and technology offices. Evanston's Design and Planning Committee approved the initial plans, developers saying it could produce around $1.8 million in real estate tax revenue annually. For some Northwestern students living close to the site, they're not in favor of this tower being near Northwestern's campus.
I also kind of wish that they would think about what students might want. I think they could get a lot of revenue from something that's open late, that students would kind of enjoy going to.
The office building has yet to be approved by the Land Use Commission and City Council.
Up next, an inside look at a discovery that can only be described as supergiant.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
For the first time, Northwestern astronomers say they have filmed in real time the end of a red supergiant's life. You're looking at the moment the massive star self-destructs before it collapses into a Type II supernova. Researchers say this discovery defies previous ideas of how red supergiant stars evolve before exploding. The star was studied for the last 130 days before it collapsed into a supernova. It is 120 million light years away from Earth and 10 times bigger than our sun. The scientists say they are hopeful that the footage will provide scientists with more opportunities to research the last few moments of a star.
The Evanston campus was blanketed by the season's first layer of snow over winter break, and history was made in the process. That first snowfall came on December 28, 2021. It was the first measurable snowfall in Chicago since the National Weather Service started keeping this stat over a century ago. To qualify, there must be at least 1/10 of an inch of snow. The average date for Chicago's first measurable snow is November 18th.
Even while staying indoors during Wildcat Wellness, it's important to get up on your feet. NNN's Caitlin Bender-Thomas has the details on how you can use the time to become a well Wildcat.
The transition back to online learning and isolation hasn't been the easiest for some students.
It's all been one place for everything, and that can be kind of overwhelming.
Northwestern group exercise and yoga instructor Chelsea Mobley encourages students to take movement breaks throughout the day.
Might be a little sore, and then it just feels good. So yeah, I do think that it helps moods and everything. You just have to get yourself there.
Mobley's suggestion: perform 3 sun salutations. The exercise works on the core, shoulders, and breathing.
Either focus on breathing, focus on your body, your meditation at that point for 15 minutes.
Northwestern first year and SPAC yoga instructor Mira Brodsky says she is concerned about students becoming unhealthy and unhappy.
Definitely worried. I mean, lots of blue light and not a lot of sunlight and not a lot of movement. That's kind of a recipe for poor mental and physical health.
Brodsky says that students scheduling time away from their devices is already one step in a healthier direction.
It's really best to limit screen time right before you go to bed and also when you wake up in the morning, and let yourself wind down and wind up for the day.
Assistant Director of Fitness and Wellness, Kevin Meyer, says time management skills are a topic often discussed between students and Northwestern's wellness coaches, and the key lies in planning.
Carving out that time and prioritizing it so that you're going to reward yourself with the activity that's going to be fun.
Sustaining balance through yoga and time. Caitlin Bender-Thomas, Northwestern News Network.
Wellness coaching through health promotion and wellness has open availability, and students are encouraged to reach out at northwestern.edu/wellness if they want one-on-one guidance.
Coming up, a student startup is repackaging a convenience store classic.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
A Northwestern startup is looking to change the food industry with a few key ingredients. Olatunji Osho-Williams has the story.
Beef jerky, a corner store classic, usually has a long list of ingredients. But for student-run startup Minimal Snacks, their secret is in the name.
This stuff is amazing.
We're so proud of what we put into our product that it's listed first thing, front and center on our packaging. And we didn't see that in a lot of other beef jerkies.
Inspired by South African biltong, Minimal Beef provides a healthier alternative to regular jerky.
It's like high-end charcuterie in beef jerky form. I think that's a perfect description for it.
Founded nearly 3 years ago by 2 Northwestern students, Minimal Snacks launched their Kickstarter on January 3rd and has now raised over $15,000 on the platform.
The fact that we met our funding goal, the entirety of our funding goal, in under 2 hours, not only that, but 1 hour and 40 minutes, absolutely breathtaking.
During engineering entrepreneurship his sophomore year, founder Ryan Teo saw how easy starting a business could be.
During that class, I was just inspired by how feasible this is.
Minimal Snacks is hoping to scale their operations so that you'll be able to buy their snacks at your local Target.
Kickstarter first, then direct to consumer on our website and Amazon at around the same time. And immediately after that, going local like Evanston/Chicagoland.
A snack that will have you coming back for seconds. Olatunji Osho-Williams, Northwestern News Network.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Before we go, we want to thank Medill's Matt Schrock for getting us on the air tonight from our dorms and apartments.
Thank you, Matt. From all of us here at the Northwestern News Network, I'm Elizabeth Betts.
And I'm Gabrielle Coriati. Thanks for watching and good night.